Imagine walking down the street, minding your business, when out of nowhere, someone shoves you. Or maybe you're shopping online and you purchase a product only to find it's defective and causes harm. In both cases, you might wonder, who's responsible for the damage? Enter tort law, an area of law that deals with civil wrongs, where the primary goal is not to punish but to compensate the victim for the harm caused. Welcome to the world of tort law, a vital part of civil law that helps determine who should be held responsible for wrongful acts and how compensation should be made. But what exactly is a tort? A tort is essentially a civil wrong committed by one person against another. It's an act or omission that leads to harm or injury, and while these wrongs can sometimes overlap with criminal acts, tort law is distinct. Importantly, torts can arise without any agreement between the parties involved. In other words, even without a contract, if someone wrongs you, you could seek compensation under tort law. Now, torts fall into three broad categories: intentional torts, negligence, and strict liability. Let's take a deeper look at each of these categories. Intentional torts. First, we have intentional torts. These occur when someone intentionally causes harm or knows with substantial certainty that harm will result from their actions. It's important to understand that the intention here doesn't necessarily mean malice or evil intent. It simply means the defendant desired to bring about a certain result or knew it was highly likely to occur. Some common examples of intentional torts include battery, assault, false imprisonment, and the intentional infliction of emotional distress. In battery, for instance, it's not just about an unwanted touch. It's an intentional act that causes harmful or offensive physical contact. Assault, on the other hand, is a threat of harm, where someone's actions put another person in fear of an immediate battery. Negligence. Next, we have negligence. This is a bit more subtle. Here, the defendant does not intend harm but instead acts carelessly or fails to act in a way that would prevent harm. In negligence cases, the defendant has breached a duty of care owed to the victim. Let's break this down with a real-world example. Imagine a driver who runs a red light and crashes into another car. The driver didn't intend to cause the accident, but their carelessness, failing to stop at the light, leads to someone else's injury. In negligence, the defendant's behavior is what's at fault. There are no specific, individually named torts here, just the general concept that a person has acted in a way that is careless or unreasonable, leading to harm. Strict liability. And finally, we have strict liability. This is the least culpable category in tort law. In strict liability, a defendant can be held responsible for harm caused, even if they took every precaution and didn't intend to cause damage. This category is often applied in cases where inherently dangerous activities are involved, like blasting with explosives or using harmful chemicals. Another common area for strict liability is product defects. If a company sells a defective product that causes injury or damage, they may be held strictly liable for the harm caused, even if they followed every safety protocol. So why do these categories matter? Well, the classification of a tort has significant consequences in terms of both the scope of liability and the damages that can be awarded. The more culpable the defendant's conduct, the greater the potential liability. For example, an intentional tortfeasor, someone who deliberately commits a wrongful act, could be held responsible for a broader range of consequences, even if they weren't directly anticipated. On the other hand, a negligent person may only be held liable for the immediate or foreseeable consequences of their actions, not for far-reaching, unexpected harm. This distinction also plays a key role in the types of damages a plaintiff can receive. In intentional tort cases, victims may be awarded not just compensatory damages, but also punitive damages, a financial penalty meant to punish the wrongdoer and deter future harmful actions. Now, let's zoom in on how we actually prove liability in an intentional tort case. To establish a prima facie case for intentional torts, there are three key elements that need to be proven. First, there must be an act by the defendant. This act is a volitional movement, something the defendant consciously chose to do. Second, there must be intent. This can either be specific intent, where the defendant's purpose was to bring about the harmful result, or general intent, where the defendant knew with substantial certainty that the consequences would happen. Even more interestingly, a person can be liable even if they didn't intend to injure someone. As long as they intended the act that caused the harm, they can be held responsible. For example, if someone throws a rock intending to hit a tree but ends up breaking a window instead, they could be held liable for the damage, even though their intention was not to break the window. The law holds that minors and people with certain mental impairments can still be liable for intentional torts. This is because the law generally assumes that everyone, regardless of age or mental capacity, can form the intent necessary to commit a tort. Even if a minor or someone who is incompetent acts without evil motives, as long as they intended the harmful act, they can be held liable under tort law. Tort law might seem like a complex web, but it's essential for ensuring that people are held accountable when their actions cause harm to others. Whether it's intentional harm, carelessness, or activities that are inherently dangerous, tort law makes sure that victims receive compensation for their injuries. From intentional torts to negligence and strict liability, understanding these categories can help you better navigate the legal landscape. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, Law Review Hub. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on important legal concepts and case laws. Your support helps us create more valuable content. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.